Hello, welcome back to the Football Terrace, joined by a very special guest tonight, Culture Cam's making his debut on the channel. Great to have you here, mate. Thank you for coming on.
That's all good, man. That's all good. Thanks for having me on, man.
Not a problem at all. Just let everyone know where they can find you on socials and on YouTube and everything.
You can find me all my socials, Culture Cams, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. It's all Culture Cams, all the same thing. So yeah, man, hit me up on there. I've got my own channel. I share my views on Twitter all the time. Same thing, you know what I mean? So yeah, man. Yeah, so you can find me. I'm sure you've seen me already. So
I'm sure people have. A lot of people messaged me today saying excited to see you on the show, and whatnot. And everyone who is tuning in, you can see what the theme is here. We are talking Ollie. We are talking Manchester United. Really, want to kind of sort of drum home the fact that we're not an echo chamber here, and I may have my opinions. KJ, Adam, they all have their different views, but we want to try and get different people on who look at things a little differently. So we're going to be discussing the Ollie in and the Ollie out kind of campaigns, looking at Manchester United as a whole. Can Poch or any manager save Manchester United from where we're kind of at now? We're going to open the lines a little bit later so you, the viewers, can come on and ask Cam, ask myself any questions, challenge our opinions, agree with our opinions, whatever it may be. But do us a big favor right now. Hit the like button. That's the most important thing you can do right now. Smash that button. Share this on your social media platforms as well. So Cam, from your point of view, I've watched some of your individual videos. I've seen you on Rance's channel quite a few times in recent months. The Ollie out, stroke Ollie in kind of brigades are really at each other's throats at the moment. The start of the season has been abysmal. I don't think anybody, no matter who you love or hate, can disagree with that. What's your stance on things as it stands? Do you think Man United should be looking to cut their ties with Ollie as soon as possible? Or do you think it's the wrong time to do that? What are you saying, bro?
You know what? Like, I think it's a situation where, the season's just started, you know what I mean? The season's just started, but already we've had 2 terrible results. I haven't got a win at Old Trafford yet. So, and it's a situation where I'm always been a person that I don't think, like, in the beginning when Ole first came in and he had that run, you get excited and you're thinking, okay, hold on, we can actually do something. But reality kicked in very quickly, do you know what I mean? And I think it's already a situation where you don't want your season to go too left. The season at the moment is still very savable. Do you know what I'm trying to say? The season is savable at the moment. We don't want it to become a situation when we're in January now, still got Ole, and then that's when you decide to let him go. And United are 15 points off the top 4. You know what I mean? Like, it takes a long time to try and get by. So in my opinion, they should start looking now. There's available managers out there. They should start looking now and thinking, let's get rid of him, in my opinion. It's not going to get better. I'm just going to be real. It's not going to get better in terms of United are not going to be anything special under Ole ever. And I hope people know that. So it's one of them situations where let's get rid of him before the damage is done. I mean, before there's too much damage. Let's just get rid of him from now. And that's how I see it. I feel this was a perfect opportunity to international break. See you later. But I guess it's not going to happen, isn't it?
No, I hear that. I think for me, they're waiting for this next 5 games, because you bring any manager in for this next 5 games we've got, let's say it's Poch. Poch could conceivably lose 2 or 3 of these next 5 games because they're against top teams. Even when, Fergie could lose 3 or 4 of these next 5 games, like at his peak, because they're big teams. Yeah. I think what they're waiting for is the next international break, because the run of games after that, they look so much easier. We did that with Ollie. I think we delayed the sacking of Jose by 3 or 4 games. So Ollie had that nice 4 or 5 game run where we were playing teams down the bottom of the league. It gave him more opportunity to win. And look, everyone knows my thoughts on Ollie. I've said it all along. I was very much Ollie out last year. And then I kind of took a step back from that and thought, you know what? I don't know if he can win us a Premier League or a Champions League. But I felt like the club needed a cultural reboot. And I believe that was what was going on. We were behaving different in the market. We were giving more power back to the kind of head chief scouts and the managers to pick players. And I'm like thinking, well, I don't think we're ready for a new manager yet. I think we need to build this new culture, or the old culture, whichever way you want to look at it. Build a foundation, then move on. My issue is this summer proved to me instantly that we're not building a new culture. that nothing's going to change. So I'm in the train of thought now. It's no disrespect to Ollie. I've never felt that he was going to be the manager, or truly felt he was going to be the guy to make us Premier League champions or European champions again. I felt he was needed for a purpose of building that culture. If that culture isn't being rebuilt and the Glazers and Woodward are going to do as they want, then where I agree with you is let's get rid of him now. If they are looking at a new manager, let's not delay it 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, and write the season off, get it done now. My only difference between what I think me and you feel is I don't think I don't think any manager is going to save us in the medium to long term, because I think in 18 months we're going to be back here with all the same problems again. Maybe the football's slightly better, but I just think the owners and with this board,
I think with the owners and the board that we have, we've got a ceiling in terms of, I think we've got a ceiling. But do I think that we can be performing better and be a more formidable side under another manager? Yes. But do I think Man United can come and become champions without a change of what's going upstairs? Then no. Do you know what I mean? But in terms of what's going on, listen, I watch Man United. I want to see something that entertains me and stuff. What Ole is right now is, there's no difference between Ole and Jose Mourinho. If anyone says there is, I just don't think only thing is there's just a bit less of a negative camp. That's about it. I mean, Ole to Jose Mourinho is really just when you get an iPhone and they put like an extra camera on it or something, and that's about it. Do you know what I mean? You know, they'll package it differently, but really and truly it's the same thing. Ole is the same thing as Jose Mourinho, but he's just come in and he says the right things. Oh, I'm going to build a culture. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But ultimately, you ain't really done nothing in the way I see it. So has Pogba's performances improved? No. Has your signings really worked out? No. So it's not really anything different to Jose Mourinho. So I think we've just been kind of sold the little dream of cultural rebuild and all that type of stuff. But to be honest, that just kind of sounds to me, cultural rebuild just kind of sounds to me like the board and Man United are saying, you know what, you guys, lessen your expectations for a little while, because it's going to be a long time until we become a good team again. We're going to get an average manager. He's going to do a cultural rebuild. Yeah. And it's not really going to, and then what's going to happen? We've just lowered our expectations, really. I get Man United fans saying what Ole's done is a great job. I'm like, mate, that's the most fraudulent third place you could ever get. And it was very obvious. And now look how we started the season. Like, it's very obvious.
You know what? I hear a lot of what you're saying there, and I get it. I think there's some areas where I disagree, in the sense of, I don't think having a cultural reboot and it taking 2 or 3 years to get yourself back to a point where you're ready to be dominant again is a lower of expectations. I think it's more the prolonging of an expectation. But it depends how it's presented. Because for me, it doesn't matter what manager comes in. It's taking if the club decided to get a director of football and start doing things properly. Let's say we wanted to operate, whether people like them or not. Man City as a football club operate brilliantly. Liverpool have turned it around at SFG. It's a 4 or 5 year process to get ourselves to anywhere near a Bayern Munich level, a Liverpool level, City in recent years. So it's going to take that amount of time. So my expectations are to become Premier League champions as a Man United fan. I just don't think it's. Sometimes you can get a bit lucky. You could bring a Poch in. You could have a season like last year where lots of the top teams are off their A game, and you might be able to finesse it a little bit. I know Leicester fans won't thank me for saying this, but the year they won the league, not one of the traditional top 6 was very good. And if any one of those teams would have been on point, they wouldn't have won the league, in my opinion. So you can sometimes do that. So I think there's still going to be a long build to get there. But my issue now is I don't have any expectations for Man United anymore. It's not about, I've got my standards, but I can't have them anymore, because this board and this club don't want to achieve what I want to achieve. We've got different views. Me, they're happy with 4th place. They're happy with just being in the Champions League and being an also run, because it keeps the money coming in. So I feel like I'm setting myself up all the time to feel like I want to win the Champions League, the Premier League, etc. We don't get there. I take my anger out on particular players and managers. We reset. A new manager comes in. Everyone's buzzing right this time. And then the same shit happens again. And I feel like that's why I'm kind of done with focusing on Ole. And I think a lot of your points make sense. Do I think the football's better under Ole? Yes, I do. I think it is better than what it was under Jose, personally.
Maybe just about.
But even then, I mean, considering who Ole is compared to Jose in management, even being slightly better shows he's working harder at it. But either way, like I will concede that we're not playing amazing, beautiful football that everybody is kind of thorning over. Do I think we're in a better club in terms of the harmony within the dressing rooms? Well, I thought we were until the start of this summer. Last year, everyone looked at it differently. Liverpool fans won't admit it was a crap season, because if we were all crap last year and it was a fraudulent 3rd place, that makes their title win a little bit less spectacular. rubbish, if you get what I mean. Man United fans don't like Ollie, say it was a dead league. United fans who love Ollie say that, it was a really tough league last year. Look how good Liverpool were. We come third in that. And I think a lot of that is kind of objective. What I will take issue with as such is the signings. I'm not going to say Maguire's the best centre-back in the world, but I think he's a lot better than people make him out to be. AWB seems to be getting a lot of attention at the minute for being poor. Bruno's
they're not good enough.
When you say they're not good enough, do you think that? Do you think? But if the manager isn't good enough, wouldn't you like to see what they were like on the? I mean, who's your preferred choice as manager?
See, I don't see. The thing is, with a manager, I know United will go for the obvious choice of Pochettino. Do you know what I mean? Someone that's got. I know I'm more like I like the way Nagelsmann is at Leipzig, but I don't think they'll give him such a job like United at this present moment. So I do think the obvious choice is Pochettino. He plays the style of football. Well, when Spurs were in their heyday or whatever, they were playing very good football, good pressing, using their fullbacks, and it was very exciting to watch Tottenham. At a point, they were one of the best playing teams in the league. Do you know what I mean? So I know they'll go for the safe option of doing Pochettino, someone that has a history of, you can kind of say, rebuilding, improving players. He's got a history of improving players. So, and okay, he didn't win a trophy at Spurs, and I'm somebody that's I think he should have won a trophy at Spurs. There was times they got to semi-finals of the FA Cup, shouldn't have been letting United and Chelsea just walk over them, in my opinion, at that time. So he still does have to, he has hurdles to get over as well. What United fans are doing is making out like he's Messiah or something. He's not the Messiah, but he can improve us. You know what I'm trying to say? I can definitely see a big contrast to him and Ollie. He's a coach. He is a coach. Like, I look at Pochettino teams and I can say that's a Pochettino team. I don't know what Ollie can do. And when I look at Maguire, I'm not going to lie, I was a fan of Maguire. Do you know what I mean? I was somebody that was saying, yo, bring Maguire in. Like, that's a great sign. I liked him from whole days. Like, so I'm not one of them ones that's going to turn around and act like I never rated him. Yeah. But he's come to Man United and honestly, he's fell off a cliff. Like, this hasn't got anything to do with coaching. Some of his mistakes are individual errors. Some of his mistakes are I just don't think some people are just meant for the lower, less pressure. You're not always on TV. You're not always going to be seen. You make a mistake. Nobody's watching. It doesn't go in the newspapers. All of a sudden, you come to Man United, and honestly, you do something. You run funny. You're going to become a meme. You do.
No, I do that.
I don't think he's adjusted to that, and especially giving him the captaincy. I was like, do you know what? Fair enough. We ain't got much leaders. Bring him in. He's got the captaincy, whatever. But he's not a Manchester United captain. All in all, it's been a bad signing, and I was never co-signing the Wan-Bissaka signing. He's not technically good enough to play for Man United, and it's showing.
And I get that with on Maguire. The only thing that I struggle with the whole conversation, that he has made 2 or 3 bad errors. I've seen it that I remember in a Man United shirt. That the goal for the Tottenham game the other day is a prime example of what I call a bad error. The way he got nutmegged in the Bournemouth game, I think, was poor defending because he rushed in. There are some things where I think are unfair. That the marking his own player in Zaha, one had nothing to do with the goal, and he wasn't pushing someone out of the way. The no-look defending, he was stopping the cutback to the player. Those things there are really unfair on him, I think. But I am a stats man. I do usually eye test, so I get the technical element. But what I struggle with when it comes to Maguire is a few areas when people say he's not good enough. One, our defensive record, especially when people say he's not good enough and knows the system under Ollie, our defensive record last season improved in all defensive metrics for around 40%. It needed over double the amount of clean sheets, 40% less goals conceded, about 43% less goals conceded from open play as an example. Just to name a few of it. Even attempts on our goal dropped by 47% last season.
Yeah.
If AWB were part of that, so is the system. So you have to have some kind of system and qualities as players to make those improvements. And when we had that really good run, the back end of the season, and I think Pogba coming back and Bruno being part of the team are part of that, but so are all great teams. We barely conceded a goal in that entire run. I think we had something like 13 clean sheets in about 19 games. The start of this season, you can't defend it. There is no defending it. The team has been bad. I don't understand how you can be that bad a defender when your team improved defensively that much. Your defensive record in a run that sees a 14-point swing to put you back into the Champions League, and his individual metrics. So when you look at his defensive duels, He attempts the same amount per game as Van Dijk, wins 1% more. Aerial duels are there.
The defenders, though. I don't really buy into the stats of defenders. I can't lie.
But what do you mean, though? So for me, and that's a fair point. What I mean by that is, though, but if I have a player like him, so defensive duels are categorized as those. You know what he did against Harry Kane, where he pushes the man over? That's called a defensive duel, as opposed to a tackle. They separate them. He attempts about 7 of them per game, and no one in the Premier League in the last 2 years has won more of them than him. So I look at it, well, that's important that a defender does that. And I get that some stats they can inflate. Last year, I think Van Dijk only got dribbled past 5 times, and people celebrate it.
Yeah.
Lindelof only got dribbled past about 3 times last season. So you have to take everything in context. But when you look at all the defensive metrics for a defender and compare Maguire's against all the other elite defenders in Europe, he's on par with all of them and better than some of them in certain areas. I think what it is, brother, and one thing you pulled on, the man is ugly, not physically to look at. I don't care about that. Like, because
he is physically as well.
So I suppose my question to you would be, if his defensive statistics and the team statistics and outputs defensively have improved so much, can he really be considered that bad a signing?
So for me, look, I was one of them ones who last season because I was a fan of him and I was trying to stick by him. I was ignoring a lot of the poor defensive work. I was ignoring a lot of the mistakes because not every mistake is a goal. Do you know what I mean? There was times Maguire is getting pinned by smaller players and turned, and people are walking past him, and not everything is a goal. Do you know what I mean? So is there time, even in that run that Man United were going well and keeping clean sheets, could you say to yourself that you were felt comfortable every single game that Maguire and Lind? I couldn't. Some of them clean sheets I was watching, I was like, I don't know how we didn't concede that game. Do you know what I mean? We got away with it. So
I don't disagree with that. Having said that, go back and watch them. Not that you're going to. This is more rhetorical. If you go back and watch a lot of my watch-alongs, I was sitting here. This is January, February, March, before lockdown. Afterwards, I was sitting again. I always feel comfortable with Maguire. I've never felt too much of an issue with him. And of course, there are moments in games where we nearly concede. But I think that's a Man United issue in the sense of when you watch your own team, you sometimes feel like you're under more pressure than how rivals see it. Because I watch a Liverpool game, and I'm like, last year when they were brilliant, I'm thinking, no one lays a glove on them. And then you look at the reaction of Liverpool fans on socials, they're like, I got away with that one. And look at it, I don't know, maybe we look at United differently from other people. But I get your point. Do we need to improve defensively? Absolutely. Do I think all of Ollie's signings have been bad? Dan James has, but at 15 million quid, I'm not bothered by it. Does that make sense?
I get you.
Garlo with a 4th choice backup striker did a decent job. AWB, he isn't good enough going forward. There is no doubt about that. But it's interesting that only became a problem in the last few months. The first 4 or 5 months, everyone was loving what he did defensively. Why do you think that changed?
What I think is, do you know what it is? It's because when he came in, of course, he's done something that we haven't seen before. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at the right backs that United have had, we've had Valencia, Rafael, Gary Neville and stuff, all good defenders. But at the same time, the way Wan-Bissaka defends, he defends in a way, he's a highlight defender. Do you know what I mean? Those slide tackles are amazing. 1v1, I can never disrespect him. 1v1, I think he'll give any winger in the world a problem. Yeah, I mean, he will do well against anyone, like through a 90-minute game. But his tackling is so speculative, and it gets you off your feet. It excites you. When Wan-Bissaka's defending, it excites you. But you need more after a while. Do you know what I mean? After a while, you come to Man United at Crystal Palace. That's beautiful. That's nice. You can do all of that. When you come to a bigger team, we expect a little bit more. And this is the situation that Maguire and Wan-Bissaka are facing. More is expected of you. You can't come in and just be what you were at Palace and just be what you were at Leicester. Yeah, that may be your bread and butter, but this is Man United. You've got to give us extra 25%, extra 30%. And unfortunately for Wan-Bissaka, that 25-30% is how good are you on the ball. You're going to be an outlet most of the times, especially when you have a winger like Daniel James, or especially when you have a winger like Greenwood, who's not a winger at the same time. So you're going to get a lot of the ball. And I'm not even too bothered about the way he crosses and stuff. That happens. You know what I mean? You can learn how to cross, but the touches, the fact that that teams are letting our fullback have the ball to initiate their press, that's embarrassing, man. That's embarrassing. This is why I question Ole, though. Sorry, Terry. This is why I question Ole. It's like, You said that you want your team to be fast, attacking, wide, aggressive, on the ball, right? Play out from the back. You can't sign Wan-Bissaka if you want to play out the back. That was a safe signing. That was, who's a good right back in the Premier League? Oh, Wan-Bissaka, he's young. All right, let's grab him. Now let's make him something he's not. Because I'm telling you now, he will never, ever be an attacking fullback, ever.
And you know what? I can accept that. I can accept that he's never going to be at the Trent or Alex Telles level of doing those things. The one thing I really like that you pulled out on is that, you know, the spectacular tackles make people think he's better than he really is. I can't disagree with that logic based on the fact that I have a big problem with football fans who love, I know he scored a brace against us, but I still don't think he's very good. Wilfried Zaha players annoy me. Players that tackle themselves more than they beat a man, but people think they're great because what they do is spectacular. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They'll do a dribble and it's like, wow, he's amazing. I'm like, bro, the cross went out for a throw-in. What are you talking about? Like, I get where you're coming from with AWB, but what I also love is the fickleness of football fans. Because up until about 2 months ago, United fans haven't mentioned Deleu's name for ages. Now the agenda is we need a better attacking fullback, and it's like, bring Deleu back in. I'm like, bro, that guy though is he is awful. You can't have him in the team. He's terrible in terms of his defensive attributes. But look, I get the point with AWB. I think there are definite elements he's got to improve on, and if you can't see him improving, then from your point of view, what's the point in having him in there?
Like, you got to be like, let's be honest. I tweeted it the other day. He's England's 7th choice right back at this point. They've got about.
It looks like he's going to play for the Congo now, anyway. To be fair,
I mean, this is what I mean. Like, listen, you're a Manchester United player, and you couldn't even lay a glove to play for our team. Our fullbacks, Luke Shaw. I know we just signed someone to replace him, but he's not even an England international himself. And you got Wan-Bissaka, not an England international. Like, what is going on? This isn't the standard, bro. Yeah, I'm trying to say this isn't the standard. I'm happy that we've signed someone to try and maybe put pressure on him, but in my opinion, the only way Wan-Bissaka is going to be able to, we're going to be able to get away with having Wan-Bissaka is if we sign a fullback, a winger who's literally so good at 1v1s, taking people on and can hold down a whole right wing by himself. And you don't really get that. I'm telling you now, what top team in the world don't have attacking fullbacks? We're living in ancient times, man. People are talking about coaching, but I'm telling you, technical ability can't just be coached like that. Yes, you can. You're talking about what positions he gets in, but when he's on the ball, it's not good enough. It's just not.
I understand it. I still personally think he can do a job for us, but I think what was needed is that Sancho signing. The only way you get away, I think, with having a fullback like AWB, who is brilliant, in my opinion, defensively, but in terms of going forward, has his deficiencies, is by having someone on that right-hand side who is a potent attacker that can hug that touchline and operate there. And I think failing to get Jadon Sancho, it's going to be really unfortunate for AWB. Because I think what happens a lot in football is, I'll give you an example. Paul Pogba, I love Paul Pogba. There's so much I love about him, but I prefer seeing him up the other end of the pitch than near our goal. Paul Pogba in possession, anywhere near Man United's box, worries me because he's not press resistant. He loses the ball in those areas too much. I get frustrated so much that we have players where we don't have a balanced team from front to back, and you see the deficiencies of our players. Maguire's a great example. Man doesn't play on the left-hand side of a defense. You speak to anyone who's coached him, he's like, no, this guy needs to be on the right-hand side. But because we don't have a left-sided centre-back, he has to play.
At Leicester, he was on the left as well, though. When he had the left at Leicester,
he played bits and pieces there. But I'm going by what I thought he was on the left, and I've listened to a few different coaches that were talking. A few people from the England setup saying he should be on the right-hand side. He gets exposed because he has to go out onto his left foot a lot. And I'm like, okay, I can take that as an excuse. Where I get frustrated is, then why haven't we bought someone to plug that hole in the team? If you get where I'm coming from, like if he struggles there, then buy someone that can play there and move him over. If you know that AWB struggles from an attacking sense, how have we gone a whole summer without signing somebody that attacks on the right-hand side? Now what happens is there's more focus on AWB because he's the guy that we need to attack. And we know Greenwood does a good job, but Greenwood's going to cut inside because he's a central striker. Now, I don't want to see Paul Pogba dilly-dallying with the ball on the edge of the box. Give us a party. Give us an Ndidi who are brilliant at doing that. And that's the problem. That's where I then look at the board. Because for me, if there was a football decision-making board, they would see these deficiencies. They would make the right signings, you would hope, and kind of fix this. In terms of managers, quickly, so we open the line soon for people to come on and have their say and try and rip us to pieces. They always do. I like Poch, but you mentioned Nagelsmann. Would that be your number one choice?
Yeah, that'll be my number one choice because I look at their teams and they play the way that I like to play.
Yep.
They press high energy. They use their fullbacks. They have their players switch positions very fluently as well. And that's what I like. I like when somebody pops up on the left, somebody pops up on the right. It's unpredictable. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And they're overachievers, in my opinion. And what Man United need, first and foremost, is an identity. Every bit of identity that Ole has said that we're going to have has been all off the pitch stuff. Oh, we're going to have the character. We're going to have this. And I don't see nothing. I don't see none of that on the pitch. All I see is a lot of verbal. Do you know what I mean? We're going to have this. This is what I want from a Man United team. Listen, Fergie is 70% of Manchester United's history. Let's be real. He's 70% of our history. It's not Man United's DNA that you're trying to represent. You're trying to copy Fergie's DNA. It's not Man United. It's Fergie's DNA. You are not Fergie. Come with your own identity. Do you know what I mean? Come and implement what you want to implement. I just think Oli is just too stuck on what we used to be. And he's trying to find ways of doing that. And it's like, mate, you're just not good enough to carry that out. So for me, I would get a manager that's attacking, plays good football, and it's first and foremost has an identity. Because as I'm saying, I can dig out Wan-Bissaka, I can dig out Luke Shaw, I can dig out Maguire, I can dig out all these people, but is our manager putting them in the best positions to maximize their abilities? I don't think so. Do you know what I mean? So
and I get you on that, and I agree with that point. So where I would just about the manager putting players in the right position. Mm-hmm. I think on the cultural thing, you're right. Fergie's a big part of our history. But if you go back and listen to what Fergie was building, he wanted to get things back like they were under Sir Matt Busby. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes, I don't know whether, sometimes it's the way Ollie explained things. I don't want to see a manager come in and copy and try and be like Fergie or be like Sir Matt Busby. I think when it comes to an attitude and behavior, I think all top teams, their players have the same types of attitudes and behaviors, that desire to win, that professionalism, that I'm going to stay behind after training and work on my free kicks for an hour. Mm-hmm. That should be easy to instill to a certain degree, but it's a lot easier to do when players are enjoying the work they're doing. They like how they play football. They enjoy their treatment. I think Ollie's done a good job on the man management level. I personally do, but I think you're right. There are definitely deficiencies in terms of his quality of coaching compared to a Nagelsmann or a Poch. Nagelsmann, my number one choice as well, by the way. I would walk to Germany and carry him on my back because if we will play better football. But my problem is this, though, bruv. I think what you said about the players, you look at the manager. My issue is I then look at the board. Two reasons. One, there's been a lot of leaks this week that the players are saying training might be fun and engaging and intense. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing the right kind of training. You might enjoy bits of it. You don't do the right thing. There's comments about they don't know whether he's a good enough coach, the players, and also comments that they feel that their system relies too much on individual moments of brilliance from attacking players. So there's an element where I kind of feel like somebody's leaking information so it feeds into the Twitter narrative, but maybe the Twitter narrative was right. My view is this, though. The board employed him after he was here for 3 months. And if their review of his training and his style and his system didn't reveal those deficiencies, that's what I'm worried about, mate, because that means they can't see good or bad, or, let's change it from bad. They can't see the difference between good training and good tactics and the elite level. That makes me worry even for an elite level manager because Ollie's system isn't what I wanted. And I'm pretty sure it's not what you wanted, but we know he's a top level coach. LVG, no one can challenge that guy's pedigree and understanding of the game. Teams like Barcelona play football heavily based on what people like him coming there and did in the early 90s. We sort of know this historically. But those guys still had the rug pulled from under their feet by these owners. My biggest fear is a Nagelsmann coming in. 6 months in, we're looking at our football. We're all sitting back going, this is beautiful. We love it. We're falling in love with United again. And then Woodward and co, for whatever reason, and I don't know what goes on in their brains, decide we're going to do another madness. I don't know. Nagelsmann says, I want to get rid of Pogba. For whatever reason, they're like, nah, he's worth too much money to us commercially. He's not going. And then to get where I'm coming from, that's my issue again, though. And it's a
big issue up there. It's a massive issue up there. And like, you know what? I'm not well versed on what DOFs do and stuff, but what I do know is the top clubs have directors of football. I've seen Other clubs talk about they're so surprised that Man United, the way Man United operate and they do business, and why haven't we got the director of football, and why are we talking to lawyers and blah blah blah. So I know the way we run up there is always going to be an issue, which is why I said there's a cap. But the basics of what you got to look at least if I'm looking at another manager, I'm saying, listen, he's doing this, he's doing that, left, right, like we're playing good football, we're being let down by the owners. Then I would think, do you know what? I put as much pressure on the owners as do. I tweet Glazers out all the time. That's the type of person I am. But it's a situation where you can only control what you can control, like, or you can only speak about what you think can be controlled. And this board don't seem like they even want to get a DOF. So we are going to have to get used to that. Unfortunately, we're going to have to get used to that. But the basics is, you can't get rid of all 23 players in the squad.
Yep.
The board, you can't fire the board. The only person that's going to be, here is the manager. And that is unfortunate. But you're saying the players are getting onto the tactics. That's a managerial issue. That's a managerial issue. That's you bringing Carrick into the club. You're all unqualified. Man United are being coached by an unqualified manager and unqualified coaches. It doesn't make sense. This is the biggest.
And I get that, but that's why my attention's on the board, because they allowed that to happen. And that's where I get where you're coming from. And you remove the manager. Will Nangelsmann and Poch make us play better football? I can't. I'm not even going to try and sit here and insult your intelligence or the viewers' intelligence by trying to argue, no, we won't. My point would be that there's a cap. And my issue is this, that the ceiling and the cap on the United, that's so below my expectations. I'm at a point where, and that's applied by the board. So I still can't be happy. And for me, I've had a lot of people say, we've lowered our expectations for Ollie. I can get where they're coming from. But I don't want to lower my expectations for anybody. And even having Poch and Nangelsmann, I'm still filled with dread that we're going to get to a point where, we could be on that edge of something great. And then bang, it isn't going to happen. But that's why I won't show too much energy towards any manager now. And it's not that it's Ollie and he's a legend. That's part of it. But I swear this on my children's life. Next manager after that, unless they're behaving cowardly or vulgarly or disrespectfully towards the badge, my attention just isn't on them. Even with players, I'll criticize Pogba for a bad performance. I'll criticize Rashford for a bad performance. But you know what? I've been doing this since 2013 now, moaning at players and managers. And the only true constant through all of that is Woodward and Co. And coming from, like, it's the thing I look at this. If Ollie isn't good enough, Ollie isn't good enough. But the disrespect he gets shown as a United legend is crazy. And maybe he shouldn't have taken the job. Maybe he should put in resignation. And that's easy for us to say. But, the man believed in himself. I just feel like it's the board and the owners that have done this to us. And that's where my energy is going to be. But I do respect a lot of what you've said. Because look, if we announce right now Nangelsmann starts tomorrow as our manager and Ollie's gone, I feel bad for Ollie. But I'm celebrating that Nangelsmann's here because I've wanted that guy for a long time. We're going to throw some callers on now to have their say. First up's going to be Epic Nin. Epic Nin, welcome to the show. What do you want to say?
Can you give me 1 second, yeah? Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, we'll come back to you in a moment then, my friend. Next up is Mohammed. Mohammed Saif is going to be on the show. If you unmute yourself, Mohammed, we're going to come to you. If you don't unmute, he's unmuted. Here we go. Mohammed, what are you doing? Can't hear you, bro. Your connection is dead. Get a better modem, bro. Who's up next? We've got Mark. Mark United's on the show. Mark, what are you saying, bro?
Tough for everyone today.
Wow, this is crazy. Next up, we've got Red_Devil. Go for it.
Hey, what's going on, Terry?
Can you hear me? Hear you perfectly. What do you want to say to myself or Coach Cams?
All right, I got a lot to say about a lot of things. Coach Cams, right? You're Ollie out?
Yeah, bro.
Are you Pochettino in, or you want your Nagelsmann in?
I'll take either. Or. I think United will go for Poch though.
All right, let me ask the question, right? So, right now, what we see is, I know a lot of people say they don't see a plan, right? Over this summer, we brought in 11 wonder kids. 2 18-year-olds are supposed to come into the first team. Our front line's the youngest, highest scoring in the entire world. Our front three. Then you turn around, Pogba will be leaving. We got Garner coming back, Hannibal pushing through. My concern is, right, you bring in a Pochettino, The man's in his entire career, what, brought only Winks through his academy? Right? So is Nagelsmann there for pushing youth through?
So
you know what I'm saying? Like
the youth.
Go ahead.
Are you saying that will the managers buy into the youth way of Man United, basically?
Exactly. Because to tell you the truth, outside Ansu Fati and Kamavinga, we probably have the top youth talent in the world from 18 and under. Right? Yeah, Ansu Fati being 17, Kamavinga being 17, Diallo's supposed to be just as good as Ansu Fati. Hannibal is rated at his age as one of the best in the world. You know what I'm saying? So, like, Ali's vision to me, it's going to take time. And our fans seem not to have patience. Ali had one full season. This is his second season. In the last 25 games, we've only lost 2. Right? Liverpool is the greatest team in the world. They've lost 3 games already. They're already out of cup. They lost Charity Shield, and they got smacked by Villa. PSG lost 2 games, got in a major fight. Di Maria suspended for 5 games, right? You got Bayern getting crushed 5-1. So I understand, like, it seems like every team that had no preseason has been destroyed since the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but I feel like
the fact that go ahead.
Yeah, go on. I feel like when you're at I feel like when you're at United, right? I said someone we brought through Jose Mourinho, who's always been kind of anti-youth in a way. United have always stuck with, if you're going to be a Manchester United manager, you've got to, because our system is all about youth and we always embed youth. That's the way Man United have been from day one. Any manager that is coming into the club is going to have to understand that's a key part of it. But first and foremost, yeah, we can be talking about the future, but your present has got to be certified. When you look at Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool, Klopp was doing, when he first come in, he made the fans believe, first and foremost, the fans believe they got the job done. The players got the job done. And then now they won a Champions League, they won a Premier League, whatever. Now he can start bringing in the Curtis Jones, start playing a bit of Nico Williams. And all of a sudden, now Liverpool start to look like they've got a youth academy that's going to come and start doing well, integrate them into the first team. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But Manchester United, on the other hand, we can't just be saying future, but your present isn't looking great. I just think this is exactly what I'm saying by you're lowering your expectations, bro. That's how I see it. Lowering our expectations.
Red Devil, thank you for your call. Really do appreciate that. What I would say is this, to the point. I would love to see Nagelsmann and Poch get hold of these kids. I mean, what people forget, what a lot of the players that Poch developed at Tottenham were their academy players, were young players they bought. If you think about Dele Alli, Harry Kane, as players that came through, there were individuals that nobody really rated. Harry Winks is another one. We have better players than Harry Winks and Dele Alli as part of this Man United system. And Nagelsmann got a team to, did they get to the semi-final, Leipzig?
Yeah, semi-finals.
They got to the semi-final. And one of those rounds, they didn't even have Werner. How many of those players genuinely in this current Leipzig team are people looking at and going, yeah, I know they've got Upamecano as an example, but there's quite a few of them players. Man, I don't want to buy. We don't want. So I think Nagelsmann, with these kids that we've got, you're talking about, would be absolutely amazing. And they'd love to have it. Who wouldn't? And you're right. We did sign some seriously talented youngsters over the course of the summer, some of which will be straight in the first team. Abad Traore is one where I've been doing so much research on him. This kid's ceiling is so high. Of course, I want to see technically gifted managers come in and coach, and there's no doubt. Next up on the show, we have, we're going to put Cameron Lowe on, if Cameron's there. Cameron's with Canada. What are you saying?
What's good, man? How you doing? Chilling. So I'm in between because it's kind of the same thing, right? Ollie in, obviously I was Ollie in because I'm a back the manager dude, you know me. It's back the manager, and he did what he had to do, what he was tasked to do. Now you're starting to definitely see the cracks in some of the play, and I think it affects some of the players, like Harry Maguire, for instance. I don't think we should be playing at the back as much as we do. It just doesn't make sense. It's why Harry gets caught out so much. So it's interesting because I've been watching the show through to hear, like, you know, used to rate Harry, but then now you don't. And I do think we have to start looking at, is that from some of our play? Is it some of these players we may not rate. Like the reason I would want, and my pick would be Poch over Nagelsmann, just because I think Nagelsmann's such a young manager coming to United. You talk about pressure getting the players, probably like it's not going to be different for a manager. The pressure's still going to be there, and at least we've seen Poch in the Prem. We've seen him deal with pressure. I mean, he hasn't won anything, but we've seen him deal with the pressure that comes with the Prem. We've seen him bring up a lot of young players. Like he was at Southampton, right? Was he the manager there? Or am I wrong there? He was the manager there when that brought up a lot of those players, right? Like, and then you got to look at our squad now. We are buying a lot of youth. At least Poch, I think, will have to be given the time because he has the pedigree. They won't be able to throw him under the bus, and he's not going to do what Jose did, which was drop a bomb on himself. Jose got, like, let's be honest, Jose is gone because Jose wanted to be gone. So our board's not going to change. We know that. Poch has experience dealing with not getting what he wants. Hopefully, I think he's been sitting back at home waiting for this job, and for me, that's appealing. A man who's going to come in, he wants this job. Like he's been sitting at home. Like there's been jobs, and I know he could have pushed for that Juventus job. Let's be honest. Like I think he's been sitting at home just waiting for this job, and at the very least, that's going to give us a manager who comes in ready to change things up.
Yeah, I feel like what you said was good in terms of he's got a track record. With Ollie, he hasn't got a track record. People are believing in him to lead through you're talking about a great generation of young players coming through. Where's Ollie's track record of being good with these type of young players? Where's Ollie's track record of winning things? Where's Ollie's? We haven't got anything to lean back on. At least with Jose Mourinho, LVG, they're winners. Klopp, he came in, he's a winner. We kind of know they have a track record to lean on. With Ollie, it's all imagination, man. And that's why no club, no other man, no. I'm telling you now, if Ollie leaves Man United, he wouldn't get a job in the Premier League again. No team is taking Ollie. No team is taking him, and he's the manager.
You know what I was saying that coach camp, where I think some of the Ollie in career, and this is Neek speaks about this brilliantly, that he's neither Ollie in or Ollie out because he thinks both groups have quite a lot of toxicity in them. I feel like a lot of the Ollie in people I speak to is because they just want to see a manager given their time, because I think what they've seen is three managers on the bounce. In their eyes, have the rug pulled from under their feet by the owners, and nobody's been able to see it through from beginning to end. And there's always that question of what if they would have carried on being backed, and the board would have put them first over players and over everybody. Could we be in a different position? I say probably not with those managers, but you never know the answer. It all becomes very hypothetical. So I understand where they're coming from. I don't necessarily believe that anyone who's Ollie in thinks that Ollie's a better manager than Nagelsmann and Poch. I think what they then start looking at is beyond the sacking and the hiring, a bit like what I've pulled on around. What if we're here in 18 months' time and they're doing it? It could even be more painful if we're playing brilliant football and we're looking to throw him under the bus. And I suppose, like I've said a few times, there's a part of me that wants to see one of these guys come in. And this sounds a little bit narcissistic and a little bit sadistic, really. But I feel like I want to see him come in, do a great job, and then the board do the same to them as they've done to everybody else. Maybe then you'll get enough United fans angry to go, you know what, we've got to mobilize against this board somehow. Non-violent, of course. But I just can't help but think people I think we're just being a bit too naive. Everything we've said about these managers is right. We will be better. But I just still think we're going to be back here in 18 months talking this new defender we bought isn't good enough. This player hasn't developed the system, the manager, the toxicity, the stuff that's being leaked this week. Whether it's true or not, it's great that it's being leaked. This stuff should not be coming out.
But see, the thing is, I don't rate that from the club. And if it is the players, I don't rate that from the players, because players, that will be two managers basically that they've basically thrown under the bus. Do you know what I mean? In that regard. So I don't rate that, because those things that are coming out about Jose before he got sacked as well. I don't rate that. And I said it myself. Any player for me that has played under both Jose Mourinho and Ollie, they're losers, man. We need to start looking to get them out of the club. That means they would have been like about 4 years of just straight being losers at the club, leaking things to the press. I don't respect all of that. All this, that Ollie's not a good coach in the training ground and stuff. You can see it on the pitch, but for it to come out like players are leaking it, I don't respect that one bit. And a lot of these players are hiding behind the manager as well. So I'm not one of them people that just I'm very fair with it. You know what I mean? But I just know straight up, Ollie is not good enough. It's just as simple as
I hear that, and I think everybody respects that. Cam, thank you very much for coming on, mate, and having your say. We're going to throw some more callers in. I think, bro, that's why I like to have people on that have these views, because rather than it being a snapshot of what you've said, I hate Ollie, it's like, no, just let the man speak and put his views across. And sometimes you need to do that on a full-length show. Next up on the show, we have Bison Beast, I think his name is. Bison, what you saying, bro?
Yeah. Hi, Terry. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. What's your question or point?
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
My only thing is you can bring in Poch or anybody, but my thing is you're bringing in Poch to do what? See, you can get consistently, you can get to the top 4, but would you win the league with Poch with the current team? I don't think so.
No.
And that's my only question.
Let me ask you a question. Bison, let me ask you a question. Would you rather stay with Ollie and maybe make the top 4, never win a league, or go with Poch or Nangelsmann, play better, more attractive, more entertaining football, maybe make the top 4, or maybe win the league? Because I feel like that's the only 2 options. If we're not building something new and the board are going to pull the rug from under Ollie's feet, and we're not building this new culture, we're not building this new system, I don't see the point of Ollie. And that's not me being rude about it. I love him. I'm not going to slag him off. I'm not going to call him names. But I can't see the point if the board are never going to allow a manager to flourish. I'd rather have a better manager in who's going to at least give us better and more entertaining football. Because maybe that's the most we can hope for now as Man United fans under the Glazers.
Yeah, I get the point, Terry. And I also do not want, or personally, I do not want Ollie to be the manager of Manchester United. But my only point is that even if you're going to move to Poch, I want to see things improving. And that's where I conflict because I do not want Poch to come in. We can play exciting football. If you want to play exciting football, let's go for Ten Hag. He'll actually develop a system whereby you can breed in more youngsters. I wouldn't even watch it.
I hear that, mate. Listen, thank you very much for calling the show. If you get rid of Ollie like you don't want,
we've got we've got one of the. What I don't get is I get this many issues, but first and foremost, Man United have one of the worst managers in the league, man. It's just as simple as that. Like, we just got to be honest with ourselves. I get it. You know what I mean? We've got our United hats on. We all want the best for the club, but it's not going to come under Ollie, man. It's not going to come. It's just that real. I don't know what it's going to take for people to see that. All these stats, all these metrics, it's not, because how come it only takes one loss for all of a sudden all of these things to be coming out? The players are not happy playing under him anymore. We were riding under the look, I thought he was going to be gone like last year, but then Bruno came, we got a little run, lockdown came, which was the best thing for Man United out of any club, because Pogba came back, Rashford came back fit. The club was bouncing, man.
Yeah.
Greenwood to come into the squad. The club was bouncing. We were on that feel-good confidence. But then towards the last 5 games of the season, under lockdown, it went back to crappy grind out a win, crappy United football. Then we get bounced out of the Europa League. We just scraped it. Oh, man.
And I get that. And look, I look at it slightly different. I feel Ollie deserves a lot of credit for a lot of what went on there. You know, there was some very good stuff being played, but it is about consistency for me. And I go back to what I've said this whole time. I'm not somebody who will disrespect Ollie and say there has been no system, there is no style, there is no patterns of play. I think there have been. We've done videos where we've showed to what we've seen. Can we do better? That's a different question for me. So I get people will sometimes exaggerate or be disingenuous. I don't see anything. I don't see any. We've got eye testers coming on in a minute, and he'll tell you, I've never seen one bit of improvement. So, well, there have been some improvements. That's a lie. Like, I suppose with me, when people...
There is some. Rashford's gotten better. Martial's gotten better. Yeah, I mean, little things like that, but...
No, but I get you, bro. But my biggest thread the whole way through was I feel that we needed someone with red in their blood to help, based on what the club said we were doing around changing how we recruit, changing how we coach, building a system. One of the biggest things we've done wrong at the club is, I mean, something I was listening to not long ago is, if we loaned a player out, it sounds stupid when you say it, we only cared where they went in terms of how much were they going to pay us. We didn't look at how that club was looking to play football and did it match our philosophy. Look at Brighton. Whether Brighton are looking at their academy teams, both boys and girls, or their first team, boys or girls, they all have the same, the philosophy and how they want to play is the same from top to bottom. When they loan a player out, whether male or female, they have to find a club who has a philosophy and a style of play that's as closely matched to theirs as possible. That, for me, is what I'm talking about culture. It's having a strategic plan like that. Now, Man United sold the idea. That's what they were looking to build. So my view was, I don't want any manager to leave while we're building that, because you've got to build it first. But after this summer, after Woodward lied to the squad and lied to the man, Ollie, all summer, we're going to be getting Sancho, don't worry, relax. That tells me nothing's being built. So that's changed my mind to say.
How do you feel that he goes into the media and protects them every single time? Because he's just happy to be here, bro. He just wants to keep his job, because listen, this is his dream job. He will never, ever get a better job than Man United. He'll never, ever be at a team as good as Man United, or probably ever play in the Champions League again. He's just here, yeah? He will never throw them under the bus. Like, he will never, like, if Ollie came out and said, do you know what? I'm so disappointed with this summer. I expected this. Bro, my respect for him will go through the roof. The fact I'm happy with my boys. And
look, I do get that, but there's two things for me. One, maybe it's the way I am as a person. I don't, unless you're talking criminal activities here. So let's just put that out there in case anyone doesn't understand this. I don't respect people that speak out about their company, their bosses, where they're working on professional levels. Just the way I'm brought up. Secondly, I moaned that Jose did it. So to then not praise Ollie for not airing our dirty linen in public would make me a hypocrite, and I try not to do that. So I don't like I'll give you an example of that. I don't care how badly behaved. I'm just going to throw a name out there. Pogba is. I don't want any manager outing him in public. I want that being done behind closed doors. That's just how I feel about those situations as a person. So that doesn't bother me that he's behaving professionally in that way. I'm getting to a point though where if he does feel like he's being thrown under the bus, he's already a multi-millionaire. What I want to see Ollie maybe look at doing is say, you know what? There's my notice.
I'm not good enough. But listen, I'm telling you now.
I can admit that. Yeah, I get that.
He was brought into the club, yeah. LVG and Jose Mourinho, even though they didn't achieve their goals or whatever their goals were at Man United, yeah, they put pressure on the board. They were onto the board. They will speak out. They will visibly show that they are unhappy with with this regime. Do you know what I mean? And Ollie would not do that, bro. Bringing in Ollie is the perfect thing for Woodward. You've just had LVG and Jose Mourinho, two guys who would stress you, two winners. What are you going to do? You're going to bring in a yes man you can control, and you can get away with stuff like this, bro. Look at this. He's just had a shocking summer again, a shocking summer. When he did this in 18-19 for Jose Mourinho, Mourinho got sacked that season, but Mourinho made it clear this is unacceptable. He was onto them, and people were onto Jose Mourinho about it. They didn't like when Jose Mourinho done it, but now he's brought in Ollie, and Ollie's protecting him now. Horrible summer. And Ollie's sitting there happy about it.
My challenge to that would be, they might have spoke about it, but it hasn't changed nothing. And maybe Ollie's approach is, again, I'm not saying Ollie's thinking this way. I'm thinking how I would feel. Okay, two managers on the bounce have outed them in public and basically lost their jobs. Maybe go about it a different way. Maybe there's a way of, I used to do a lot of work with the unions when I worked in banking, and often the staff would want something, and you'd never get what the staff wanted. It's like there's no way the bank is going to agree to that. What my job is to do is to try and get a compromise in the middle. And maybe, like we've said, if there's a ceiling to this club and there's a cap to this club, maybe there's a compromise level. Maybe we're never going to spend big the summer after we get into the Champions League because the Glazers don't want to. Maybe this is something Ollie knew was going to happen. And it's like, if I come out and out them, they're just going to sack me, and it's going to be an ongoing process over and over and over again. Maybe Ollie's trying something to try and mitigate that. I'm not saying he is. I'm just pointing out that the two managers that have done that got sacks for it, and the club is still behaving that way. For me, I don't think it matters what Ollie does. That's why my focus is the board. They don't change. And we seem to focus on the figurehead, which is always the manager, the poster boy of it. Mm-hmm. All the problems are with the other people. And I get why it's annoying. There is a part of me that would love to see Ollie in a press conference stand up, slag them all off, tell them they're cockroaches, tell them they're leeches, tell them they're destroying the club, take off his shirt and tie and say, I'm going to do the honourable thing to this club, walk away, and I'm going to join the picket line and fight against you. I'd love to see that. But I also know the Glazers would just laugh, because it's like this weekend, bro. How many people you seen on Twitter moaning about the 14.99 to watch the pay-per-view games. Bro, we know everyone's going to pay it. So that's why the club don't care, bro. Like, they know everyone's going to pay it. And that's the bit for me. Until we actually stand up against these people properly, doesn't matter what a manager says or does, they're just going to, Glazers will sit there laughing. Look at Ollie getting all the crap. Look at Joe getting the crap. Hi, guys. We're going to take another 20 million out of your club this year, plus pay the interest and use you as collateral to buy another brand new mall somewhere around the world. I just find it like, that's where my anger is at those guys, because
I understand that.
laughing at all of us, bruv. We're going to throw a few more people on here. This will be an interesting one. Eye test is with it. What you saying?
I just want to say 1.5 seasons, and people want to use the Glazers as a shield for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but they're not realizing that this guy's been in a job for 1.5 seasons, and I ain't seen not what he's working on the training ground. I'm still not seeing what he's working on in the training ground, even with the Glazers. I believe if we hired a proper manager, maybe an Ancelotti, in 1.5 seasons, maybe we wouldn't be winning Champions Leagues, maybe we wouldn't be winning Premier Leagues, but I'd see what he's been working on in the training ground. Like,
is that good enough? And there's two things I'd say to that. Again, we've had this conversation before. You phone up saying the same things. We've had 2 proper managers before this under the Glazers, and they failed. And is that your standard now? Is that your standard and expectation for Man United, just to see progression on the training field? You don't want to win Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues. Shouldn't that be where our expectations are?
And you think we're going to win Premier Leagues and Champions League with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Listen, for all the people saying...
No. So go back. That isn't my point. You're not answering my question. You keep moaning that Ollie's never going to win as a Premier League or Champions League, but you're happy just having a manager that comes in and you see progression on the training field. What are your expectations for Man United? Is it to win Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues?
Of course.
And be one of the best. Then if no manager is going to achieve that, even Ancelotti, why are you settling for that? Why don't you focus on the board? You phone up every day and blame the managers and never the owners, never the Glazers, never Woodward. You literally say that managers are the problem always, but this could be 4 failed managers on the bounce. What makes you think Ancelotti is going to be any different? Please tell me. I'd love to hear this.
Because I've seen a change in the way we do transfers, yeah. Because unlike LVG and Jose Mourinho, all he got the transfers he wanted. He wanted Maguire, he wanted Bruno, he wanted AWB, and this is the thing. People say Ollie's not being backed, but I'm looking at how much he had to spend. I keep saying this. I look at how much he's had to spend, and Ollie's had a lot to spend. It's his fault for not spending it correctly. You have a budget and you spend 80 million on that on Harry Maguire.
See,
Harry Maguire.
I've got to shut you down. I've got to silence you, even though it's no echo chambers. We've had this conversation on the channel before. Ollie selects the players. He has nothing. I'm going to shout because I'm so angry when dickheads say this. He has no control over what the club sanctioned to spend on players. We've had this conversation. He doesn't decide on the money. He doesn't. Period. Point blank. That's Woodward, bruv. You're literally blaming Ollie for the things that Woodward done wrong. Fool.
Listen, bro. Listen. I understand he don't negotiate the prices, but
what are you moaning about the prices for? That don't make sense, bruv. That don't make sense.
Can I please talk? Can I please talk?
Bruv, you can't. No. Like the same waffle every day. You literally say, hang on, no. You literally say, I know Ollie doesn't have anything to do with the money, but I'm angry with how much money you spent. That is an oxymoronic comment. It's stupid.
Bro, listen.
Dumb, bruv. It's literally dumb. Sorry,
Can I please talk, bro?
No, because you're going to speak more nonsense, and every time you talk, I lose
listen, but he does find out eventually that we're about to, we negotiated the price to 80 million. So he should have said, no, I don't want Harry Maguire for 80 million. Yeah, he should say, no, let's try and get better deals. With the 80 million, let's try and get maybe a 40 million pound defender. And maybe another 40 million on a CDM.
So that don't make sense, does it? See, that don't make sense again, because if we overpay for players, if we overpay for players, what are we going to get for 40 mil? We're going to buy a fucking 15 million pound player, aren't we, bruv? It don't make sense, bruv. You literally, I'm sorry to say this, eye test, you're dizzy, bro. I get your point. You don't want Ollie at the club, and I respect that element. But you coming on here consistently defending the Glazers, I'm not having it, bruv. I'm not having it. Blaming managers for things that you're going to blame Ollie next for like the tea being cold or some bullshit like that, bruv. I ain't having it. Get out of here. I'm sorry, Culture Cam. That guy just gets on my tits. I literally had a conversation on here a week ago, and he's like, no, the Glazers are doing a great job.
Yeah, I mean, the Glazers obviously the Glazers are not doing a good job. Yeah, I mean, we know this. Like, there's fundamental issues with the whole club. Do you know what I'm trying to say? There is fundamental issues, but at the end of the day, we are just fans. We can only want entertainment. We can only want trophy. We can only want winning. We can't control what happens. They are the owners. They're the owners of the club. What they say goes at the end of the day. We can't really do nothing about it. That's why, as much as I know that they're an issue, I don't spend too much time talking about them too much, because I know they are not directly affecting what I am seeing on the football pitch. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But I get it. So I can't really speak too much about them, because it's kind of like Arsenal situation. We know the Cronkies are messing them about, but as soon as Arteta comes in, now look at these Arsenal fans. They're starting to believe, for goodness sake. These Arsenal fans, they went and won a trophy. Arsenal fans are starting to believe. FSG were horrible. FSG were terrible. Remember when they were bringing in Aquilani and all these funny players, and Klopp comes in, and the whole culture changes, man. Everything changes. Shrewd signings. Like, football change. They believe. Yeah, 100%.
And I hope, bro, that if Nagelsmann or Poch comes in, it changes. And do you know what? I'd love to look back and go, do you know what? I was so wrong. Of course, I believe in my own opinions. I wouldn't say them otherwise. But if it turns out Poch turns us into a top team, we become consistently good over 3, 4, 5 years, I'll say, do you know what? It was them managers, man. The Glazers, I'm not saying they're great, but they weren't holding no one back. It was down to them. I'm just going by history and what we've seen force people along. My issue with people like Itest, and obviously you've only just heard from him, so you had a very small point. He comes on in, first of all, talking in standards. We have to aim for the stars, aim for the stars, aim for the stars. But then he speaks about that. But then when he talks about a new manager coming in, you say, well, do you think he'll win the league? Oh, no, but we'll see better football. I'm like, brother, where's aiming for the stars then? So it becomes then a vendetta against Ollie. And I'm just not about that. I'm going to protect Ollie in that instance, because unless your standards are, we had Saeed come on. I love Saeed. But he spoke about he'll only accept managers winning the league, but said if Poch was here, he'd be happy just to come third and play good, attractive football. And I'm like, that's a changing of your standards for the manager, but you're also moaning at United fans now for lowering their standards for a manager. It's the same principle, and that's all it comes down to for me.
For me, at the end of the day, when you're a fan, when you're a football fan, everything that you do as a football fan is hope, innit? All we can do is hope and believe, right? You want something to get behind and believe in. The way as I said it, the way Ollie came third last season, the way we have started this season is not a surprise to me, because we weren't playing good. This was always round the corner. So when people are going up in arms now, I'm like, where were you last season? Is it just because we were winning that you thought that everything is going well? When it's about how you look at it and how you progress, because I keep saying Klopp is on another planet in terms of how good he is as a manager. But when it comes to it, they finished 8th. Liverpool fans were content because they had something to believe in. Then they came, was it 4th? Next season, they had still something to believe in. It's about hope, bro. It's about hope and believing in something. I don't have nothing I can believe in. Fans just keep saying, "Oh, well, look at the board," or "Well, look at this," "Well, look at that." And for me, it's accepting the level. I don't accept the level, bro. I look at Man United, and there's nothing for me to believe in personally. When I look at us now, it's just great. It's so bland.
I do understand that, and for me, I suppose where I just differ is my expectations are the same as yours in terms of winning league, challenging for titles. I just feel that any manager that comes in is going to have a hand tied behind his back and maybe have to stand on one leg. So I want to focus. And I do believe there's a way of getting rid of them, but it just means everybody mobilizing together and cutting the money away. And that's the problem. People are not prepared to do it. So I don't spend a lot of my time talking about it because I'm basically pissing in the wind by myself, if that makes sense. And where I get really annoyed though, bruv, and I shouldn't, maybe I'm just turning into a middle-aged man and getting annoyed, I screaming at the sky again, right?
Yeah.
I see people moaning about the Glazers and then like posing for pictures in their new Man United kits they just bought. And I'm like,
I wouldn't buy a United kit. I don't buy United kits. No anymore. I said last season is the last time because I'm not gonna lie, I had to really research into what the Glazers do at this club, innit? And since that, I won't buy a United kit anymore.
No, I hear you on that. I'm gonna throw straight red onto the line here. Straight red. What you saying, bro?
Yes, Terry, Culture Cams, how you guys doing? You good?
It's good, bro.
Yes, brother.
Yeah. You no need to bad up the other guy, man. What's his name? All right, Test or whatever.
Okay, it's all good.
No
It's all,
need, no need.
we
All
got
right.
a lovely relationship.
Love it, yeah, love it. Yeah, no. So, just wanted to share some of my views on Ollie. I'm borderline on the Ollie out camp, but here's my reasons why. For me, I'm a little bit concerned about how we go about identifying players, because there's a bit of a narrative going on here. Some people are saying, is it the coach that's identifying the players he wants? Some people are saying it's the Glazers, or is it Ed Woodward, because you don't have any director of football or whatnot. So if it is a case of that it's Ollie identifying the players, then like I have this thing. I think that a coach should know the type of should have like a player profile for each position in their team. They should have an idea of like what the philosophy is. So if you want to play flying wing backs, you need to have, I don't know, like a certain personnel profile for your right back, a certain profile for your left back. Are you going to have two ball playing centre backs? Do you know what I mean? And when I'm looking at the type of players that we've signed against what I think Ollie is trying to do, which I think he's trying to be a possession-based team.
So mismatch.
It's a mismatch. Yeah, it's a mismatch. So this is where my concern is, because I don't see any clear direction in terms of Ollie's philosophy. Yes, I'm listen, no word of a lie, you guys are 100% right. Like when it comes to the way the club is run, the standards have dropped massively. It's embarrassing. Like, I mean, even one thing I said to my friends recently is when you're talking about Manchester United being one of the prestige clubs of world football, like Bayern Munich and Real Madrid, and then you say to yourself, hold on a minute, do you know the type of people you're dealing with? You're dealing with people who said a player couldn't get transferred to a club because the fax machine broke down. Or you're dealing with a club where they sent fake agents to go and sign Herrera. Do you understand? It's embarrassing.
And you know what? Everything you said there is what rings true about this board. That's the board element around doing things. So your point around the players Ollie wants and the system he's trying to create depends what side you want to sit on that. And I'm like you, I'm in two minds. So he had a defensive fullback that he bought in AWB, but Ollie wanted an attacking right-sided inside forward in Sancho to give you that balance of attack and defense on that side, as an example. He didn't get that target. You know, we know he wanted Haaland, had meetings with Haaland. Ed Woodward couldn't negotiate a deal to get the clause taken out. That got removed. A lot of the signings we've made this summer, according to the media, and we could take that with a pinch of salt, were last-minute panic buys. Ollie supposedly didn't want Telles, didn't want Van der Beek, didn't want Cavani. They're Glazer signings. And that's, for me, where I want to see somebody come out and give us the true information, because if they're Woodward stroke Glazer signings, we just need to sign some players. That's who we're going to buy. And they're not there to fit what Ollie's trying to build. It undoes everything, which is why then throws me not into the Ollie out camp, but into the sense of just give us the best possible coach then. Because if they're just going to buy who they want and throw it together and say to a coach, get the best out of that, then what you need is the best coaches. Because the less quality of a coach you are, the harder it is to kind of get a tune out of something that's broken. And that's where I don't trust the club. And that's what I feel like would happen to Nagelsmann. We have first good year. Oh, it looks nice. First summer, gets 2-3 players that he wants, we improve. The second summer, for whatever reason, whether it's failing to land the targets or us not trusting Nagelsmann's choices, we buy players that don't fit what he wants. And we did the same thing to Jose. Like, even Lukaku isn't who he wanted as an example. He wanted Morata. Now, Morata bombed.
It's true.
But there isn't to say he would have bombed at Man United under Jose. I just sometimes sit there and feel like everything you've said is right. Why did we... What doesn't make sense with the AWB thing is if we want attacking fullbacks, what does it say about Ollie's judgment of AWB if he then goes and signs Telles, who's a brilliant attacking fullback? Or is this the board going, the fans want attacking fullbacks, yeah, but Ollie don't. Ollie wants defensive fullbacks and then wants the inside forwards to be the attacking outlet. He doesn't want to play like Klopp. Yeah, but let's just give the fans what they want. Let's go and buy Telles. I wouldn't put it past Woodward because he loves the PR thing to go, I'm going to go and sign someone that the fans want, so they love me, throw Ollie under that bus, bring it. That's just how it feels to me. And it's not me trying to protect Ollie. It's me just thinking, I'm trying to protect the next, but I'm trying to protect the position of manager at Man United. Do you get where I'm coming from? Because I said the same things when Jose was manager. And what did I get called? I got called a Jose sympathizer And I remember the words from multiple United fans calling into my show. Terry, you just love Jose up too much. You're sympathizing with him. Take him out and watch us improve. And here we are, nearly 2 years later, and we're having the same conversations. And I just feel like we're going to be here again, bruv. And that's why I can't get on this kind of bandwagon of like eye test, who's consistently on here attacking Ollie. I'm like, bruv, I get you don't like him. But whenever I hear him talk about Ollie, he growls. When he speaks about everybody else, he's just kind of calm with it. And I'm like, bruv, I can't have that, because I saw people do that to I did that to LVG. And I said some really bad things about LVG that I regret as a human being. And then I got angry with Ollie. I got angry with Jose. And I'm like, nah, it's that bored. So I'm not going to, I don't want to have the energy towards the manager. That's my view, bro. But I think what you said makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I do think, before I've been saying to my mates as well that I think that Ollie's going to be sacked by November 1st, looking at the fixtures. However, thinking about it, I think he's going to do the Great Escape, I think what he's going to do...
he finds a way out. I don't know how.
No, but you know what? Listen, at the end of the day, like, none of us really want to see him fail on it. As United fans, we want to see him succeed, and we want him to do the best he can. But it's just, at the moment, it doesn't look like it's going the right way. However, in terms of the Great Escape, I think he's going to go back to a threat back. I think he's going to put Luke Shaw left wing back. He's going to protect Harry Maguire in the centre. He's going to have Tellers flying wing back, and he's just going to do counter attacking and get some wins over the next 5 games, I think. So, and then they won't have an excuse to sack him. I think he's going to get through this window anyway. This period.
You know what, Rob? And do you know what, bro? If they right now, this is the board again, and this isn't me seeking confirmation bias. This is what changed my mind. Is these kind of things. So if the players are saying he's not a good enough coach, if they're saying that they have to rely too much on individual moments of brilliance, if the club are already talking to Poch because they're worried about it, that means you don't think he's a good enough manager. Him having a good run of 4 or 5 games, if you're a good board, it shouldn't change your mind. Do you get what I mean? Like, me and my missus have got to break up because it's not happening. Just because we go out on one night out with a group of friends and have a good time doesn't mean we should stay together forever. Do you know what I mean? So that was one night. In 2 weeks again, we're going to be arguing over, you burnt the toast, I burnt this, this show didn't record, kids are crying, whatever it is. And I feel like if the board keep Ollie because he wins 2 or 3 of those tough games, it shows us they're incompetent. If they don't think he's good enough, because they're keeping him, that's the bit that grates on me. And it makes me angry. And I probably do take it out on people like I test a bit too much. But it's a case of like, I love this football club so much. And I just see it being, I think it's like watching one of your kids get cheated on, like they're grown-ups. You get what I mean? I feel like I can't do anything about it, but it's hurting me. And that's what it is. I don't know, man. It feels like someone's playing behind my daughter's back. If anyone plays behind my daughter's back, they're dead, to be fair. I will do still.
Definitely.
It's straight red, man. I appreciate you coming on, having your say, brother.
Nice one, bro. Cheers.
Top man. Take care. Thank you. Are you still good for time, Culture Cam? Where you got to shoot?
Yeah, I'm good. I can do about 15 more. I could do about 15.
Sweet. Ad, you can call the show eye test. If you want to come back and have your say, I'll let you come on and chat, and I won't throw you off.
The thing is that with eye test, I get where eye test is coming from a little bit. I mean, because when you do look at games like Brighton, for example, you look at games like Southampton, you look at games like Crystal Palace. Are you telling me that there's players on that team that you would I'm hearing guys say they'll take players like Webster. I'm hearing all of this type of stuff, and it's like there's no way these guys are better players than what Man United have. The only issue is they're better coached. Forget about Woodward, forget about the Glazers, whatever. Are the 11 or are the 18 players in Manchester United's squad better than the ones in the Brighton squad? Yes, they are, right? Why are we being outschooled on the football pitch? Why are we being outpressed? Why are we being outplayed? That comes down to the coaching at the end of the day, man. Let's be honest. Like Crystal Palace Zaha looked like flipping Ronaldinho against us. Then they go against Chelsea, a good team, and get smoked 4-0. They couldn't lay a glove on Chelsea. But they come against Man United and they know, hold on, we've got a chance against a team like Man United. Chelsea with their weak defense, they packed it. They parked the bus and got broken down. But with Man United, they're pumped up. They're ready at Old Trafford. They pick up wins. This is when it goes too far because Maguire, for me, he's not done too great. But when I'm hearing people say, no, I'll take Dunk over him. I'll take Webster. I'm just like,
I agree with that. I agree with that. Like the way we performed in them games isn't good enough. and I think it's more than just tactics. I think there's a mentality issue at the club in the sense of, and this, I do think this comes from a manager and the club from the centre out. Like, we get up for them big games. Ollie's record against the top six is amazing, to be fair. I think it's like a 50, in the Premier League, it's like a 60+% win ratio, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sometimes we go up against these smaller teams, and it's like we don't look up. When we broke that record of winning 4 games on the bounce by 3 or more goals, that was the best I've seen us play against small teams in 7 years.
We had a spring in our step, man. I'm telling you, we come back from lockdown. All our players were back. We had that spring in our step. Everything was good. Greenwood was firing. But again, when I look at it, a lot of it for me was individual stuff, man. You know what I mean? I call us individual FC, do you know what I mean? Or freestyle FC, because I feel like there's never really much patterns of play. We rely on a lot of individual brilliance for me. Do you know what I mean? But I agree. After lockdown, we played when Mason, Rashford and Martial were firing. It was lovely. Do you know what I mean? So I do think we came back from lockdown in spirits. But again, I think it was all just, good spirits. And then eventually you can't just rely on that, man. You can't just rely on the feel-good spirit. Eventually you got to go back to the basics of what you have, yeah? And then you get through them type of games. But the reason why we don't get past these small teams, bro, is because when you're playing against these small teams, the initiative on you, right, is to attack and go and win the game. Theirs is to defend. When we go up against City and all these teams, we go up against City and these teams, is defend and counter attack. I'm not saying that's easy. It still takes a lot of concentration.
No. I get that, and there's more space to play in. And look, I don't deny that we've had a lot of problems against those smaller teams. Again, I do think we have patterns of play. I do think we try things. Are they as good as what we would have under Nagelsmann's and Poch's and Klopp's and Pep's? The answer is no. I don't think I've ever once said in my life, and I would never say that he's a better individual coach than them. My biggest reasoning for not wanting to get rid of Ollie was more about, it was a things I've already, I'm going over old ground here again, is around, wanting to see a manager bring something to fruition. It was the rebuilding of the foundations behind the scenes before we moved on to somebody else, because like I've said, I think the fact that we're not building them tells me straight up that we're going to go and throw another manager under the bus, which could be more frustrating if we're playing very, very well. Do I think there's been a system? Do I think there is a style of play? Absolutely. I think there's a mentality issue, though, within the players at this club. And so much of that stems from the board out, because this summer was awful. And I feel like it genuinely impacted the players to a point where they've come in and they're not focused, because I think they look at the club and go, the club ain't right. The club isn't behaving correctly. I'm not saying they're saying, why should I? But there's that element of, what's the point? There's that element of, do I really have to work hard? The club doesn't care. Do we really want to be a big club? Are we behaving like a big club? I think there's real mentality issues from front to back. And I think all of this plays in. But the one thing is for sure, if you put a better coach in, you will, generally speaking, you'll get better football. I don't think that's deniable. I don't even think the biggest fan of Ollie can deny that those managers would get us playing better football. But then it comes down to that medium to long-term approach. I'm still not convinced that we, over a medium to long-term period, beat all the easier play well against all the easy teams moving forward, because I think there's a cultural issue and a mentality issue. Do I think we're going to become Premier League champions and Champions League champions again? No. And that's the painful bit for me. I feel like I can't, I've never in my life imagined being a fan of Man United and lowering my expectations to a point where just playing attractive football or better looking football would be enough to me. But I genuinely feel like that's where we're moving towards.
I feel like, honestly, I don't feel like things are very strong in terms of these gaps. Look at City, man. City are right now going through like a weird little period that they're going through. You just saw Liverpool lose 7-2. Chelsea are still molded. Listen, like, United, this season is salvageable, bro. Like, with the players that we have, United can still do something this season, bro. Like, it's not all with Ollie, for me, it's doom and gloom. But the teams, like, honestly, it just takes a run of 5 games, run of 6 games. Chelsea last season won like 8 games in a row under Lampard. That set them basically for the whole season. For the whole season, that basically set them. Yeah, you know, I think this,
bro, and I get all that, and I get all that, and I think a Poch or a Nagelsmann could come in and do that. And like I said the other day, if they're already considering getting rid of Ollie, just get rid of the man now. I understand this approach is being kind of rumored in the media that they're going to wait for these 5 games. And if he doesn't do a great job, move him on, wait till the next international window. I kind of get that approach. My view, though, is this, though, bruv. My expectations, like yours, are to be Premier League champions and European champions. And I don't see that happening.
Not this season. No chance. I don't see it happening for a while.
I don't see it, and nor do I. And I don't see it happening even with the two managers that would be my number one and number two choice, because I don't believe the club is in a position to be able to go and do that. And I think that's why someone like myself defends Ollie in this sense of, look, I do see style of play. I do see systems. I do see what he does. Can we get better than what Ollie's doing? Yeah. But my main objective for wanting him here was because I felt that we were trying to build something behind the scenes. I trusted the club. You know, I've given the analogy of I felt like Alfie Moon, bruv. Like I trusted Kat Slater for the final time to build something, and now she's gone and cheated on me again. And the club, I'm just done with Woodward and the board, I think. And I got no faith in anyone that comes in. So I'm neither Ollie. I'm neither Ollie in or Ollie out anymore. To the point where I won't have people disrespect Ollie and chat pure nonsense and lies about him. At the same time, when I'm listening to Ollie in supporters say, "Oh, we've got to keep him, we've got to trust the process," I'm like, bruv, there ain't a process. This is the Glazers and Woodward have no process, so there's nothing to trust. I'm literally in between both camps. It's horrible. I literally hate how I feel about my club right now. It's a madness.
The thing is, I understand where if people, look, I understand if people are saying Ollie in because of what goes on with the board and stuff. That's understandable. But I don't think they are Ollie in because of Ollie. I think they're Ollie in because of like something like what you're saying, because of the board. Whereas Ollie out people obviously don't think he's good enough. But listen, you can be, I'm telling you now, it will be a much better situation, a much better scenario that Man United will be in, or you'll feel a lot more secure knowing you've got a manager who's actually a good manager with what's going on. Then you could, yes, the board are an issue. Ollie, there's no one that can tell me that Ollie is a good, I'm sorry, you can't tell me Ollie's a good manager. If you tell me Ollie's a good manager, I just can't rate you. I'm sorry. I just can't.
I would say I would say he is a good manager. What Man United need is someone that has the potential to be a great manager. And that's not being, I'm not being panicky with your words. I think Ollie's good. I think Ollie's at that level there. But what Man United need, and probably even more. So, do you know, I'm thinking about this while listening to you speak. You speak a lot of sense on a lot of good, on a lot of things, brother. And I mean it. I don't mean to sound condescending on that at all. The reason why Man United was still successful under the Glazers with Fergie is because Fergie is the GOAT, and Fergie is the greatest manager of all time, and he could get a tune out of anything. Do you know what I mean? You know, he could pick up a baguette and make it sound like a trumpet. Like, you know, that guy was a genius. So that's the only way I see us coming out of this, is by getting a manager in who has the potential. No one's going to be at Fergie's level, but to be a great manager and a great coach. That is the only way now. And where I'm trying to veer people away from Ollie in and Ollie out, I suppose, is this. People are too stuck on focusing on Ollie in or Ollie out, and they're not looking at the bigger picture. And it's like, oh, you want Ollie out, that means you hate Ollie. I'm like, no, Culture Cam doesn't hate Ollie. Culture Cam just thinks we need a better cut. There is a difference. Some people do hate Ollie, and I think that's been my issue at eye test. After like 10 calls with him, it's just Ollie that he has an issue with, and he actually thinks that the Glazers known as do a good job. But I think that's where Man United fans have got to talk to someone that's Ollie in, or talk to someone that's Ollie out, and get them to really explain why they think and feel it. You'll find that you both end up at the same place. They don't trust the board. do you know what I mean? And it's like, well, then what's the best solution? And I think what you've said, right, Cam, in terms of let's get the best possible manager in then to manage what we've got, and maybe we'll get a bit lucky. Maybe we'll get lucky and win the league. Maybe we'll get lucky and pick up a
I don't think we're going to win the league right now. Do you know what I mean? But can there be progress? Can there be something that you can look at and be optimistic to go forward? Yes, there is. For me, as I've mentioned it a few times, unless Man United get 11 world-class players, I don't see any optimism under Ollie, and that's just it. I don't hate Ollie. I don't have no hate for anybody. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know him. I don't care. Do you know what I mean? I just think he's not good enough for Manchester United. You can't. Yes, we're in a bad situation with the board, and I've got videos about that, speaking about the board, right? But you can't put it in the faith, right, of a manager who his track record is relegated Cardiff 10 years ago, right? Relegated Cardiff 10 years ago, come in, he had a little job at Norwegian League, and he comes to Man United. He is not the standard for Man United. This isn't a charity, bro. This is Man United. And people will talk about, oh, well, what did Zidane have before he went to thingy? What did Pep have? Well, in their first seasons, they succeeded. So you can build from there. Ollie's been manager for 10 years and has failed.
That kind of comment about the Zidane Pep thing is just stupid. It's not even an argument. Again, I keep getting back to it. Ollie weren't qualified. What the hell are this board doing, giving him the job? What have they seen? What are they? And that's my. And whether it's and by the way, bruv, it could be. Oh, this guy's going to be a yes man. He's going to be easy for us. We're not going to get any problems. And that's still a problem that they thought like that. Like imagine that's how your board thinks about you as fans. Like you as a club. Like we're going to pick an underqualified manager because we know he's going to give us no problems. Still, my focus is like them. Because you put him here, like if you've done that, do you get where I'm coming from? Like if I have to go to hospital for an operation, and the NHS provide me with a doctor that isn't qualified or doesn't have any expertise in that area, yeah, I'm with a doctor for bodging my leg, but who gave him to me? Like that's a crazy decision. Like I feel like that's why I'm there with it. But I do get where you're coming from 110% with that, bruv. And I feel like
it is what it is, isn't it? At the end of the day, I don't think it's going to last long anyway. And then when the new manager does come in, we'll see what happens. But when you start hearing rumors that the players are saying this and that, then there's no hope in it. There's no hope. He's going to go eventually.
Yeah, I think at the moment the writing's absolutely on the wall.
Okay, but one thing I got to ask you, right? People will tell me all these things about, but we've only lost 2 in the last 25. We had a good clean sheet record. Blah 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 blah. So then why is he on the brink of getting sacked? Why is he on the brink of this? Because it wasn't convincing. It was just as long as we're winning FC. It was just, yes, this and it wasn't convincing because, all right, 2 losses in 25. If Pep lost 2 losses, had 2 losses in 25 at City, is he under pressure? No. So why is Ollie under pressure? Because you got to look beyond the surface, man. If you just look at his surface level and just say, 2 losses in 25, that's great, then you're going to be satisfied with what's going on. But listen, if you look beyond it, you can see that it's not good enough. It's not good enough.
And listen, for me, I still feel like, again, if it hadn't been for the way we behaved this summer, so like this is how my mind's at with all that. I'm one of those people, like, we won a great run. We started the season badly. Great run towards the end of last season. We just struggled a bit towards the end, there's no doubt. I thought that was more about rotation. That is a managerial thing. I thought we should have rotated more. The bad summer's been a real eye-opener for a lot of people because for me, the reason I wanted Ollie, and someone just mentioned there, you did a retraction video for being Ollie out. And yeah, go back and listen to what I said. I felt that he was the man needed to do this cultural reboot that they sold to us, especially through lockdown. There were so many articles about what was being changed behind the scenes. Go back and listen to my rationale as opposed to what I said. And you won't embarrass yourself with silly comments like that. Whatever your name was, Franklin, I think her name was in the comments. I feel like for me, once I saw the way this summer went and how Ollie and the squad were thrown under a bus, it highlighted to me what we've seen them do before to LVG and to Jose around, they don't have the faith in him. And if they don't have the faith in him, it's going to be a bad start to this season. It's been a terrible start to this season. And for me, if they're not doing a cultural reboot, to an extent, I do care about the run towards the end of last season. I care about the clean sheet record. I care about and praise Ollie for all the things that have improved since he's been here. Whether they've improved to the level we wanted or not, I'll say well done for doing that. However, if we're not creating this new system, this new style, this new backroom, there is no point having Ollie here because that's all I thought he was good for. And that's not a discredit to discredit him. I felt we needed someone of his level. You build something and then you go a little bit like Brendan Rodgers did like Brendan Rodgers. Without Brendan Rodgers, I don't think Klopp's as successful at Liverpool as he is. He was that good caveat between Hodgson and what he did.
Yeah.
You need that steady progression and growth. And I thought that's what Ollie was here to do as an example, to kind of be that caveat between our next manager by what we did this summer. And you're right, by the fact that the board are already looking to sack him, that tells you they're not convinced by it. I hear what you're saying. And this is where these conversations need to be had. Because, like you've said, on surface level, yeah, I'm happy with things that Ollie has done. But yeah, what does Terry actually think about Ollie being in or out of the club? Well, I've said it before. Saeed there will comment. I just see that there. Pochettino's Red Army. Saeed, listen, bruv.
One thing is, United fans are making it like he's 100% going to save the club. What you're saying still needs to be addressed as well. Because United were on a search for a DOF and for some reason withdrew from it. I don't know what happened. Maybe they couldn't find one at the time. But that means they know that stuff ain't going right between the footballing and the business side of things, right? So Poch just came from a system. I believe Spurs have a DOF, right? They have a. Do they have a DOF? I'm not too sure what system he came from, but he come from a system with working with somebody like that. And to be honest, he even had a tough owner as well and did really well. So I do get where United fans are coming from with Pochettino, right? But some think that he's going to completely turn the club and save the club. You know what I mean? It needs to just be back.
And that's where the balance needs to come. I think you're absolutely right, mate. And you know, when I look at this sort of situation, no one's coming in, just one person. What will happen is Poch will come in, win his first 5 games. It'll be, see, told you. It's like, yeah, we thought that with Ollie. Like, let's slow ourselves down a little bit in relation to that. And it's just, as I say, the thing about director of football is interesting, though Culture Cams, because one of the biggest reasons I changed for being Ollie out is an article all about that I read back in early stages of lockdown. And it was titled, Why Man United Stopped Looking for a Director of Football. And it explained in intricate detail. So they were clearly briefed by the club, because no one's leaking this, about how the chief scouts and Ollie now run the recruitment element in terms of who they scout, the personnel, the mindset, the technical abilities. All Woodward and Matt Judge would now be involved with is the financial element, saying what they can and can't afford to spend on a player. And I remember reading that and going, I can stomach that. I can legitimately stomach that as a process, because you've got football people in terms of scouts. And we read all the stories last summer about scouts saying, yeah, we bought De Ligt here as an opportunity to sign. And Woodward said, no, we've got Phil Jones. Like, that's how we were being run, right? Yeah. And then they released a story saying they've restructured it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to trust you that you're restructuring it. This summer showed me point blank, giving the number 7 shirt to Cavani tells me there ain't no structure to this. There's no way Ollie would want, if it's still true that we're going to try and sign, I mean, Woodward released this as well. If Ollie's number 1 target is still Sancho, why are you giving that 7 shirt away to Cavani, bruv? Like, things like that don't make sense to me. So that's why, like I said before, I'm at a point now where I'm just saying, I'm losing faith in the board. I'm going to lower my expectations as a football club. I'm just happy to bring in a manager now, have good quality, good looking football, and just maybe enjoy the, you know, it sounds like we've become like Newcastle, but at the end of the day, having expectations of winning big trophies is painful.
What we need to do, though, honestly, bro, like the reputation and the standards of United right now is getting battered down, and we have nothing to lean on. The only players that necessarily want to play for Ollie are British players, man, and that's because it's Man United as a football club. Haaland met Ollie. He was his old manager, and they found. Yeah, we can say the board didn't agree, but they said they feel it's best for their progression that he's at Dortmund. Bellingham, same thing, bro. Dembele did not want to come, bro. Dybala did not want to come. United said that they spent 800. They scouted 800 right backs and drew up Wan-Bissaka, the guy that plays in the Premier League that we play against. Like, I don't know, man. I don't really know what's going on. Ollie said the scouts are doing a great job at the club at the moment, but none of your signings have necessarily been signings, which is like, oh, you found a gem there. They're very obvious, and they're very obvious signings, bro. Maguire plays in the Premier League, plays for England. Wan-Bissaka plays in the Premier League, had a great season, was one of the young player of the years or whatever he was. Like, they're very, very Daniel James in the championship. They're very, very obvious signings, bro. The club are losing so much ground, bro. Look at Haaland, what he's doing. Look at Bellingham. Look at these players thought their progression is better.
And I get that. And this is when it comes down to who we trust, because a lot of those signings you've mentioned, the Dybalas, the Bellinghams, the Haalands, the board, so the same people are the ones that come out and tell us, no, we were the ones who pulled away. We didn't want a £50 million buyout clause in Haaland's deal because we had no control. The Dybala wasn't interested in the process. He just wanted money. The Bellingham deal, that we weren't prepared to pay him 70 grand a week at 16 years of age. And that's what we're being told. So if those things are true,
I think it's wrong, man. So I feel we're being fed all the stuff to make it like, oh, yeah, no.
So you think, so your view is those players have turned down wanting to play for Ollie?
I think they've turned down wanting to play for Manchester United. If that means if they've met Ollie and had a conversation with Ollie and they think that their progression is best for elsewhere, then they've turned down Ollie, bro.
So what about this summer, though? Like, on your point there, because none of our signings this summer were British. We've had a Dutchman, a Uruguayan, a Brazilian, a man Traore. I'm actually not sure what his nationality is, but he's certainly not English. I don't know if he might be classed as Italian. I'm not too sure. And of course, this Palestri that's Uruguayan. So one of them is an absolute wonder kid. He's decided to play for us. Like, Cavani decided to play for us. Van der Beek's one of the most players. So again, this isn't me trying to challenge you. I'm trying to say, why would they pick Ollie or Man United if everybody else has turned Ollie down, and if they're not obvious signings like Premier League and Champions? I'm trying to understand where you think that come from.
Bro, let's be real, yeah. Van der Beek wanted to go to Real Madrid, you know. We were in for him last summer. We were interested in him last summer. He wanted to go Real Madrid. Real Madrid were keen on signing him. They were gonna. Well, this is the reports, by the way. I'm just saying what's out there, by the way. I'm not inside the club, but the reports were saying that Real Madrid wanted to sign him. Then COVID came. They promised him they were going to sign him. Gave him a pre-agreement. Then COVID came, and then they pulled out of that deal. And then he was free to come to Man United. That's only his real option. Let's be honest as well. Cavani flipping out. He was going to go Benfica, but he wanted too much money, and we gave him the money, bro. You know what I mean? Tellez, all right, cool. You know, that's a good signing, I guess. I haven't seen him at Man United yet. But Van der Beek and Cavani, bro, really and truly, they were going to be elsewhere, fam. Do you know what I mean? He was going to go to Benfica. They just couldn't afford him. And he's come to a club that can afford him. And Van der Beek was desperate to go to Real Madrid, man. He was desperate to go to Real Madrid. It just didn't happen. That's what I'm saying, isn't it? I mean, like,
and I can understand the Cavani thing, because if somebody was willing to offer Cavani, but that also pulls my point, bro.
Do you know who wanted to come to? Sorry, bro. Do you know who wanted to come to United? Sancho, English. Jack Grealish, English. These players wanted to come to Man United because they have grown up on Manchester United, bro. We still have that history, still have that pull there.
I do get that, and I do get where you're coming from, and I just wanted to get your opinion on that. So for me, this is where my mind's at. I'm in two places. If those players have come because we were just willing to give them the money, if they're not part of what Ollie wanted, then that means our signing, again, that means there's another manager now, the same as LVG and the same as Jose and the same as David Moyes, where the board are signing players that don't fit the philosophy that he's trying to build. Now, whether you or I agree with the philosophy, it's bad practice. And this is what I keep saying to people about not focusing on managers. Because you've literally just said what I've been talking about for 3 or 4 years. If the board let a manager have one summer and then get cold feet in his philosophy and say, listen, we're going to sign 4 players, but they're not going to be what you want. I really wanted Sancho and I really wanted Grealish. I wanted this British core. If that's Ollie's approach, that's Ollie's approach. I may disagree with it. You may disagree with it. But if the club go against it and they did the same thing to Jose with Fred. You want a midfielder. You want these 3? No, we'll give you Fred. That's it. Yeah, but Fred doesn't fit my plans. Take it or leave it. That isn't a conducive way to run a football club. And if they've done it to those 3 managers, and 2 in the middle of the 4 that we've had are legends of the last 30 years, they're going to do it again. And this is why I'll keep wanting to say to people, don't get your hopes up over Poch, because Poch is going to have a type of player, whether it be national base, whether it be a style, whether it be a system, whether it be and that pulls on Straight Red's point earlier about, well, why did we go for a defensive coach on the left back or right back, but we've gone for an attacking left back? That seems imbalanced. Well, that seems to me like a Woodward signing then. It's an appeasement signing for the fans, as opposed to letting a manager complete whatever his philosophy is. And that's my fear about sacking Ollie, that we're just going to go through the same cycle over and over again and stay here. And that isn't to say, I'm not saying you're wrong, bro. I'm just saying the board make this confusing. None of it makes any sense. Let Ollie have who he wants. And if you're not going to give him who he wants, sack him. Look, what's the point? Like, what's the point of giving Ollie half a squad that fit what he wants and the other half that don't? That's going to create an imbalanced squad, which is going to fail. Then it doesn't matter about how good or bad his systems or training are. It's going to fail. The same as Jose failed. The same as that's the thing for me, bro. The way they run our club is going to continually break us, man. It is. And listen, I don't. Go on, mate. Go on.
On my last thing, I agree with what you're saying, because I still think the board are incompetent. The board are always going to have an effect on whoever we have in charge. Yeah, I'm trying to say that they will harm the manager, but it's just about with the signings that we have had, right? The signings that we have had, some people can look at it on one side and think that, because we came third, those signings are successful. Whereas some will say, look, Maguire hasn't been. Ollie got Maguire, he hasn't done much. Got Wan-Bissaka, he hasn't done much. Daniel James, already it looks like now he's going to be in the wilderness soon. He doesn't even get that many minutes anymore. And that was an Ollie signing. And then, so it kind of is brute. I mean, Van der Beek coming. I know it's early doors, but he's on the bench. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, we'll see. So I feel like a lot of the fans, there's a section of the fans where it's like, okay, the signings that we did get, they haven't really been amazing, and then there is the other side where it's like, okay, did he get all of them? I get both sides. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But
you're actually right, brother. Maybe that's listen. This is conspiracy theory here, but maybe that's why Ollie isn't starting Van der Beek, because he's like, you ain't my guy. You're not one I wanted. You're one that's been forced on me.
Do that. He's a yes man. He will never do that, man.
Maybe. You know what I'd say about it is this though. This is why I say forget the manager, forget the system, the tactics, and how you feel about him emotionally. I said this about Jose. I say it now. Protect the position of Manchester United manager, because, like you've said, maybe they've looked at it and gone, you know what, Ollie ain't the guy. Ollie don't pick the right people. We're going to step in and pick them for him. They've done that 4 managers running, and it's destroyed our football club. Saeed, you want Potts like no man's business. I want Nagelsmann very, very much. They're going to do this to you. They're going to do it to your guy as well. So protect Ollie isn't about because you think Ollie's the man to make us Champions League champions again. It's forget Ollie. Protect the position of head coach at the club, because we're never, ever, ever, ever winning major honours again if the board behave like this. I just can't see it. But Culture Cams, bro, you've been amazing. Great having you on. It's really good to have some talk like this. Love it, mate. Really appreciate you coming on. Everyone go check out Culture Cams on YouTube, Twitter, Insta.
Stoppage Time TV as well. That's my podcast as well. So check that out. So yeah, man. Catch me all of those things. Follow up.
You love it, mate. Listen, bro, I appreciate you coming on, having your say, and we'll chat to you again soon, mate. Take care. Cheers, bro.
All right, later.
Top man. Make sure everyone go check out Culture Cams. We're going to wind up here pretty soon. Just wanted to say to you guys, keep smashing that like button for us. It's really, really important. And as we say, no echo chambers here at the Football Terrace, although I did throw eye test off earlier. Eye test, you want to come back on? I apologize for being frustrated with you. I just thought you were going to come on with a difference of opinion, and you said something you said the other day, which you went through already. But, bro, feel free to come on, have your say. Everyone who's tuning in, smash that like button, hit the share button as well. Really important to the Football Terrace that we get that done. We've got a few people here in the background I want to have a quick chat with. We've got man like Baz, we've got man like Latimus. What you saying, boys?
Hey, guys. How's it going? Everyone.
Yeah, what up? Good. Baz, just yourself quick. What do you want to say, bro?
Well, I mean, yeah, you guys covered pretty much everything that I'm feeling. You know how I feel about this. Talked about it quite a bit. One thing I want to say about the whole Ollie thing is I want everyone to look back at the game against Tottenham. And I even was watching with my dad, and I was just like, hey, is there one player on that team besides Bruno Fernandes that's going to grab one player on that team by the scruff of the neck and get them to get their head up instead of their heads going down? And we just looked at each other like, no, there isn't. You know, and that guy's supposed to be Paul Pogba. It's supposed to be the guys. Even it was supposed to be Harry Maguire, who we thought was that type of guy when he came in here. But he turned out not to be, which is fine. But I'm just saying, like, Bruno Fernandes has only been here for 6 months, and you can't expect him to do that in the dressing room.
Do you know what, bro? And I agree with you, but like I said, I'm just to a point where I don't even want to overly focus on players and stuff anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And I agree with you, Baz, but we've been, like I was just saying there, like, towards the end there with Cam, and I'm not putting on any negative or anything like that. You know, talking about how it sounded like he was saying that, you know, this summer we've gone for players that, you know, the board have bought players. This is the problem with the club. It's just run poorly, and it doesn't matter what manager we have. It doesn't matter about the system. It doesn't matter about the style. It doesn't matter about.
What I mean.
It's never.
It's not just Ollie.
People will say, I tell you, change your mind on Ollie again. Not really, because Ollie's never been my main focus. It's the board. Brian, what you saying, bro?
Yeah, what's good, everyone? I was just watching the stream of what Culture Cams was saying. He was making really good points about Man United, particularly about the fact that Jose and Van Gaal, they both spoke out about the board and everything that was going on, and Ollie hasn't done that as of yet, which I get why. Still trying to keep somewhat of not trying to bring a bad environment amongst the players and the fans and everything. But yeah, it's getting to a point where even if he does get sacked, you bring in someone else, it's not gonna fix things.
Can I ask this? I was just thinking about it, like, what if Pochettino looks at this whole situation and just says, why am I going to do this to myself? If, let's say, the plan is to bring him in, and then he finally says, I don't want to be here. Imagine how much of a slap of the face that would be to the board, and how it would make like an earthquake to all future managers come to this club. And I'm just wondering if that's going to happen, because I think there is a chance.
You know what? I feel like I don't think Ollie's the kind of person to do it.
Oh no, he's a club man. He'll if he does that, it would break my heart because
the thing is, it won't work. It won't work though. It won't work because LVG and Jose have spoken out about how bad this board is, and still to this point, people still want to focus on the managers. They still want to focus on players. It makes no difference. And it's a point, I must have probably repeated myself 30, 40 times. And there's nothing that Culture Cam said that I overtly disagree with. The style and as Ollie improved, whatever. Like, I'm not even worried about that element of the debate. A lot of the viewers are, Terry got scored. Cool, I don't care about that element. I'm not here to chat about, like, if I wanted to have a debate about systems and styles, that's a whole different conversation. My point is, the previous two managers moaned about the board, and still the focus is the manager. So it doesn't. Ollie could stand on top of Old Trafford tonight naked, screaming about how bad Woodward and Co are. All Woodward and Co have to do is give these fans Nagelsmann and sign Sancho, and they'll go, "Love you, Woodward. Edward was the Don." They don't care. And when we're back here again, and like we said there, if we've taken over the transfers this summer and given Ollie no one he wanted and put in players that the club thinks are best, that means within one full season, we've taken over transfers again in the same way we did with Jose, in the same way we did with LVG, in the same way we pretty much did with David Moyes. No one's going to be successful in that. And Poch won't. Look how angry Poch used to get by not getting the players that he wants. He'll just get angry, speak out, be thrown under the bus, bad PR leaks, end of. The same will happen. And if you're not, if you can't see that, then that's on you. One thing I do agree with Culture Cam's on, I've been saying it for a few days on here now, I've lowered my expectations. I don't expect the board to change. There's not enough Man United fans that are willing to mobilize against them to force the change. So I need to lower my expectations. And I know United, we can't lower them. We have to, because no manager under this regime will be successful. So there's no point in having high expectations when there isn't a conducive environment for them to be achieved in. It's as simple and it's as straightforward as that to me. There is no way out because we're out of control. And we've seen that. And if you don't believe the signings that Ollie has made this summer are his, if the board stepped in, they don't fit his profile, everybody rejects him, nobody wants to play for him, that's fine. Why have the board kept him in place? Because they're incompetent. Do you get where I'm coming from with this? And everything people say about him, it's okay, you're saying all this stuff about him, cool. But the board are keeping him in power. Why? They're incompetent as well. But you can move Ollie away. The main source of incompetence is still going to be there. So why with Nagelsmann coming in, am I going to be overtly happier? I shouldn't be, because we will be here again. It's just, that's how I see it. I just see this as a perpetual cycle that isn't going to change regardless of manager. So the manager talk, in terms of will this guy make us better or not, to what degree? Will we play better football under Poch?
Nagelsmann. Like, think about Nagelsmann coming in. Nagelsmann's job isn't to select. He doesn't pick players. RB Leipzig, Salzburg, all of these clubs, they have a director of football who has an actual system of scouting players. And does the manager coach have a say? Yes, but it's a part of the overall plan. And they have a short list of every type of player they need to fit a certain role in the team.
110%. 110%. Go on, Prime.
That's true, but for example, with Leipzig, they have a clear style that they want to play. And Nagelsmann is the manager that suits that. So if he was to go on to another club, they would bring in a manager that would not exactly Nagelsmann style, but would suit what they want to play.
Bro, and that's what I was saying. Go back on what I was looking at February. I was saying about Ollie. It was, we're trying to create something. Whatever that is, I don't care about naming it. I don't care to go that deep. Whatever it is, the next manager has got to continue that growth. But then if you listen to the Ollie Out Brigade, they will say this, that they're pretty much saying this summer the board will come in and overtaken transfers, bought who they want, done what they've done. Well, that doesn't fit Ollie. That doesn't fit Ollie's system. And that means the next manager isn't going to come in to continue Ollie's work. And that means we're going back to square one again. And that's been my literal problem with sacking Ollie this whole time, is we're just going to revert back to square one again. And we've tried that for nearly a decade and it hasn't worked. It's the definition of insanity to keep trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But listen, I can keep repeating myself till I'm blue in the face. We'll get the answers to this in 18 months' time when we're back here talking about Poch out. Poch out, Poch in, and in 20 at some point in 2021 or 2022, and it'd be like, oh yeah, we did say the same thing. Yeah, I know. Board have done it again. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Really do appreciate your support. Massive thank you to Culture Camps coming on, because we do have some different. I personally feel like we actually agreed on more things than we disagreed. We just actually came from them from different angles, and I think that's what's really interesting about Ollie in and Ollie out. Go to the root cause, and you'll find issues with the board, which is where it really should be. But listen, until next time, everybody, take care of yourselves. Good night. God bless, and we'll see you.